All right. So, yes, very good evening to all of you. Just wanted to check the audio and video. Is my audio and video is clear, guys? Guys, I just wanted to check the audio and video. Just please confirm that audio and video is clear. Uh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So, yeah. So we'll just take the okay. So I guess the last session we have started basically the if else statement. Okay, so due to that some power problem, I was just skip the session on the day. Okay, we'll try to continue from once again this one. Yeah, fine. Okay, so let us make the conditional statements. We'll try to discuss in this a part of conditional statements. We'll try to discuss here if else statements. Okay, now. So this is what the simple thing we will try to discuss now. Okay, I guess we have already seen some syntaxes and all in the last class. Okay, guys, just wanted to just wanted to check that the last class we have been just started the things. Okay, let me just check once again. I hope I was just started. Okay, fine. Okay, yeah, yeah. We have just started if statement. Okay. Now, let us make, we will try to have some examples on the if else now. Okay, then once we have done with the examples of if else, then we were moving to the looping statements. Okay, now. So the first thing is, I wanted to go for, what is the first one I'm just looking at here is, so I'm just looking at basically right now is a simple example. Okay, this is combination of let's say let's read the input as a number, like age of the person. Okay, and need to test that the age is eligible for voting or not. Okay, we just need to check whether that particular uh, age is eligible for voting or not. Okay, now next, what is the criteria to check this age? The criteria is to check the age if the age is between let's say 18 to 75 is eligible. Let's assume that this particular age group is eligible for voting. If something is input below 18 and at the same time if an output is right, if that particular input is greater than 75, okay, so we have to just give some other message that you're not eligible. Okay, now so for that what I'm gonna do is, okay, just I wanted to read age such that we can directly convert that input into the integer format directly by using something like integer format output. Okay, now, and this particular age and this particular age, if age is greater than equals to 18, this is a one condition we wanted to check. And also we have used an operator earlier that's called AND operator, right? We have just used an operator called and if that age is less than or equals to, let's say 75, okay, if that age is greater than 18 and less than 75, then we just wanted to print that right? We just wanted to print that it is eligible for voting. Else, I can just say that okay, right? So yeah, so this is what I just wanted to check here. Okay, first I'm just reading an input here. This is what the input I'm reading here, and between the age is 18 and between the age of 75. Okay, and we just wanted to print a message called it is eligible. If not, we have to just print a message called not eligible. Okay, let's say for example I'm just giving the age called 28 so that it prints the output called eligible for voting. Same thing I'm running again. If I'm giving an input called let's say 17, which is printing a message called not eligible for voting, right? So why we are using AND operator, that's also be a question here, most of the people. So why we are using an AND operator? Because we, in the given condition of input, we have to test it two different conditions. In the given input requirement, we have to test the two conditions. The condition one is greater than 18 and the condition two should be greater less than 75. Okay, so if that is happened, we have to just go to the solution of this problem. Okay, so I just want you to just look at the solution, guys, everybody, and just giving you a 2 minutes time to check the solution, and then we are moving to the next problem. I hope, yes, hope you have clear with this example. I'm correct. So there is nothing much to go for. I mean, there is nothing much to understand. But the only one thing you have to understand here is the indentation problems. Okay, there would be a lot of indentation problems the moment you start what you can call it as the moment you start working on the Python programming, especially, right? You might get this one. Okay, you might get this kind of problems most of the time. Okay, to avoid this particular problem, okay, to avoid this particular problem, you make sure that you have to do a better practice. Okay, you have to do the better and better practice. Okay, if you do the best practices, I'm sure you would have a better idea to do it. Okay, so that is what I just wanted to check here, right? Now let's move on to the next example. Let's give you a couple of examples so that it could be an easier for you to understand the syntaxes. This is all about the understanding the basic syntaxes, guys. Okay. Yeah. So now let's read the input as a number. Input as a number. Let's say you read some number as an input for this. Okay. As soon as you read an input for this, okay, test. Okay. What I'm gonna do is uh, a test. Okay. Before that, I'll just give you a simple example, guys. Okay. What is that example is basically uh, when you wanted to write a multiple, right? When you wanted to write multiple if else, for example, this is taking you only one condition and then it is moving to the else part, right? So if you wanted to go for multiple conditions, how do we write in Python? Okay, so what we do is a Boolean condition. Okay, then you have some set of statements we can place here, right? So instead of else, we use elif. In Python, the other programming languages have something like else if, right? The similar way, we have here elif, right? Elif is the statement we're gonna use here. Okay. So this is how we used to write, guys. Okay. So just observe this. In generally, if condition is same and else is also same. Okay, now, right? In the other programming languages, like if you just take a C or C++ or Java, this elif will be returned like this. Okay, else space if we used to write like this. Okay, now we used to write like this. Okay, so when we wanted to write like this, but this is in the other programming, not in Python. Okay, and here in Python, we used to write elif. Elif is a keyword which represents the same meaning of else if in the other programming languages. Okay, I'll just write you a simple program, guys. I just wanted to write a simple program and just try to give me an answer for this. Okay, just observe this. I hope you have a basic knowledge of programming, if I'm not wrong. But based on that, I'm just giving you simple program in terms of Python. Okay, and I'm just writing my program, and after that, I'll just give you some time. Okay, so I'm just writing this program, guys. I'm just writing this program. I'm expecting some output for this. I'm expecting some output for this program. Just observe this program and I'm just giving you 2 minutes to understand this logic, and after that I want your answer for this program. Okay, okay, just your time starts now. All right. So yeah, can you just give me what is the output? What would be the output as you expect for this program? Just given you almost 4 minutes for to find out the answer for this problem, right? Can I know what would be the answer for what is the answer you are expect for this problem or this program? Hmm? It doesn't matter whether it is correct or wrong. Doesn't matter. Just give your answer in chat. Okay, I'm just telling you that you don't require it whether it is correct or wrong. Okay, that's a secondary case. I want your attention that what is the output as you expect. Okay, so yeah. So the output, you don't, I mean, I don't know whether you are not responding at all. Okay, fine, it's okay. Yeah, so the output of this program should be always this one. Okay, the output of this program will be a good. Okay, why it is printing good? That's also be a question for the most of the people again. Okay, I see a lot of most of the people will have this question: why it's only printing you good? Because we have conditions to be multiple conditions are placed in the order. All of them are correct. All of them are correct. Then why it is printing only first answer? Correct. In this case, I can just give you a simple thing, right? In any case of implementation of if-else statement, any implementation of if-else statement, you never expect the answer for multiple. You cannot expect the answer for multiple places. You can expect the answer only from once. Okay. Uh, yeah. The problem in this, especially if you take this problem, what is the value we have defined for x, that is 100, correct? When you just say 100, it is just greater than 10, correct? When you say it is greater than 10, it prints the value something called good, correct? It just prints the output called good. So as soon as it is printing good, it never checks for the second condition, it never checks for the third, or it never checks for the last. As soon as it executed, just it will skip the remaining part of your if else statement. That is the nature of if else program. Okay. And for example, when the second condition is executed, it just because you change the first condition, make it as false, make the first condition as false, then you expect the answer will be a second, because this condition is wrong now. Once this condition is wrong, then it moves the direction to the second, and if that condition is correct, it will execute the statement, and it will skip the third, and it will execute the, it means it will execute from a top to bottom. It just executes from top to bottom. If that depends on the first condition, it will go to second. If based on the second condition, it will go either for second or it goes for the third. So if I'm making a changes to the second program, then the third program will be executed like this. Okay, and you see that every time you can see the output only once. You can see the output only once. Only one logic, one block of program will be as the output for this. Okay, am I clear? Yes, is that a clear, guys? Okay, similarly I wanted to go for the simple as using the above example. I just wanted to go for this program. Okay, read the number, right, as input. Now check whether the input is positive number or negative number or else zero, right? We just have a, we need to check this three parts or three statements. Okay, now, right? So how do we do that? It's pretty simple. You have to just check the previous algorithm or the program, you can say. Based on that, we are implementing this program. Okay, so number is equals to, I just wanted to check for int of the conversion of input. Okay, and check if that number is greater than zero, and you just say that the output is something called, a positive number. Similarly, if you just go for else if a number is less than zero, okay, then we can just say that it is a negative number. Whether you check the condition or whether if you wanted to write a condition, you can write a condition like this. Okay, no problem. So the input number will be a zero. This is, you can write like this. Let's say I'm giving a value called 12, you will get the positive. The same program you can also write in the similar way where you don't require to write a condition here. Rather, you write directly else part also. See that it just gives the output called zero. Okay, now in this both the cases, I'm just following this algorithm. This is something called multiple if else or if else ladder we used to call. Right? That's base. That is what we are implementing. Either you write this or you write this. Both are having the same meaning. Okay. So I want you to observe these two programs, guys, and just tell me, do you have any questions regarding this? Right. So guys, I hope you're clear with this stuff, right? So do you have any questions? I guess just respond it. Okay. So it's okay if you're not answering for the questions. Okay. Then at least respond when I ask you have any questions or not. If you say no, then we are just moving to the next topic. Okay. All right. So yeah, sure. We are just this is all about simple if else, and there are a couple of varieties of if else statements what in generally we used to write. Then we just moving to the loop statements. Okay, we're just moving to the loop statements here in Python. Okay, uh, like in Python, unlike other programming languages, you do have a while, okay, and then you will have a do while, right? But in Python you will skip that. Directly you have a for loop. Okay, yes, you have a directly a statement for while, and then next statement will be a for loop. Okay, you don't have a do while statement in Python. Okay, you don't have any Python do while statement. You have only while, and then you have a for. Okay, so when we are taking a while and for loop, okay, when you're just taking a while and for loop, first we will take you to a while syntax. How do we write a while syntax in Python programming? Okay, first while, then again here also a boolean condition to be placed. It means this condition will always returns you a true or a false. Then you place some loop statements here. Okay, then after this, to stop the loop from the infinite, we use the incrementing a value. Sometimes we used to write a decrementing a value. Okay, now. So when we are just talking about this while and for loop, okay, when we just trying to talk about a while and for loop, while is basically do this. Okay, uh, for syntax is totally different. Don't worry about that. That's altogether a different syntax in Python. Okay. Now let us see that Boolean condition, a condition which always returns you a true or a false. Correct. So it means what happened here? It will returns either a true or it returns you a false. Okay, now right? It either returns you true or it returns you a false. Whenever it is true, a control will enter into the loop to execute the statements. Whenever it is true, it will execute inside a loop. Let's say we have a group of loop statements. All the loop statements will be executed. It means loop statement, what is suggesting here? It's not a single statement. It might be a single statement or it might be a group of statements. All group of statements will be executed together. After that, it will go to the increment and decrement. Why actually we have to write this increment and decrement? You just keep a one point here, a very important point to understand. What is that is, if you're not placing this increment and decrement, imagine, okay, the loop is always been into infinite. What is that? A loop will always goes into infinite. When the loop goes to infinite, we cannot do that. So make sure that when you wanted to save the resources of your computer, or when you doesn't want to make a loop getting into infinite, then we have to stop that infinite process by using this. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to write something like that. You write a variety of that. Okay, let's say I'm just starting with the simple examples, then we are just moving to the lengthy examples. Okay, the first one is read the number n as input. You have to just read a n as the input, and then you need to print the numbers from 1 to n. What is that? You just need to read a number n as the input. After reading the number n as the input, okay, you have to print a values from 1 to n. Okay, all right. So when we are just using the using this 1 to n, what is the starting limit of this? The starting limit of this will be 1, and last and final end limit, used to call it as an end limit, right? This end limit will be n, nothing but whatever the input you are reading for that. Okay, am I clear? Is that clear? Now let us try to implement the logic here. Okay, so how do we do that? First, you write input n, you read this. Okay, now in this particular series of numbers, I'm expecting a value which is start from 1, so that I'm assigning the least value to a variable I. We are just taking a variable of I, which representing a type of integer, and we are just assigning the value to it, correct? Then make sure that you implement a loop, you write a loop such a way that it has to start from 1, goes up to n, correct? It means I is less than or equals to n. The starting limit is 1, goes to the upper limit of n. So what we are trying to print here, every time we have to increase the value by 1, and I'm just trying to print I value here. See that I'm printing, I'm just wanted to take an input as 10. Oh, okay, it is just printing a numbers from 1 to 10 like this, right? What is the problem? The problem is here in the print statement. Let me write lines in the same. Let me just write the same thing in the same input, so that the output is printing from, let's say, what, 1 to 10. Input we are giving as what, 10. So the 10 input will be supplied for n. We are writing a loop in such a way that it has to repeat from 1 to n. Okay, now next I'll write a one more program. Okay, in the similar way we'll write a one more program here. Okay, make sure that read the number as input. What is that? You need to read a number as an input, and print all the even numbers between 1 to n, right? We just need to print the even numbers between 1 to n. So what is the input we are taking? Sorry, n, and the limit of start will be I. Up to n, we have to print the even numbers, right? Let me just read the input first of all. Let me just read the input first of all. I guess it's a pretty simple to read the input. After that, this is what the input reading writes. Okay, once again, I'm writing here if you have any problem with this input reading for a single value. You might have a question, for example, I wanted to read a multiple values. No, you don't, you have to wait for some time to for that to understand. Okay, now then I can just give a value of I which is equals to 1, while I less than or equals to n. I wanted to repeat my loop. I plus equals to 1 is my process. Okay, now so when I'm trying to go for I plus equals to 1 process, right, just checking for a condition. What condition we have to check here, right? Yeah, what condition we have to check here? We have to check for if I is modular division 2 equals to 0. It means that given number is an even number, right? So I can just take I, and let me just trying to give this value 10. You see that output is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay, now is that clear? So I just want you to observe these two programs. So then we'll move into the next. All right, so guys, have you finished this? Have you understood this two examples? Right, I'm telling you these are the basics. The syntaxes are pretty much important. As you moving to the next level, your this particular things are very important for your next level. Okay, okay, is that a clear? Right. So let me just moving to the next part of it. Uh, let's say read the input as a number and just try to find the sum of odd numbers between the one and the read value, or let's say n. Okay, right? So you just need to take an input that is, let's say, n, for example, and you have to print values from 1 to n. But instead of printing 1 to n in this example, you need to capture what are the odd numbers in that particular 1 to n, the series of 1 to n, how many odd numbers are there. And instead of printing odd numbers, we have to find the sum of the odd numbers between 1 to n. Okay, let us just first read an input. Okay, so I'm just reading an input by converting that input into an integer format. Okay, I just wanted to convert that into an integer format after reading this input. Okay, now, so once we read this input, right? Once we read this input, let's make sure that while I supposed to be less than or equals to n, right? So I value to be defined as 1. Let me write I less than or equals to n, and every time let's increase the value of I to 1. Let's increase the value of I to 1 by using I is equals to I plus 1. In generally, the statement is pretty much clear. This is I is equals to what? I plus 1, right? This is a straightforward. And here, what actually I want to test here, if I is modular division 2 is not equals to 0. What is that? I is not equals to 0. It means that would be considered as the odd number. If you wanted to check as the sum value by default to 0 here, then what I can do is supposed to be s is equals to s plus the remainder value. I mean, say the input value is I. Okay, then after the end of this loop, let me print a sum value, that is something called whatever it might be, the sum. Okay, you have to be pretty much clear understanding the indentations. See that these statements will be under 7, 8 and 9. 3 statements will be under a while loop, correct? Inside a while loop, you have a one statement that is 8 will be under if. Okay, now you will have a statement under if, that is eighth one, that will be considered as s is equals to s plus I, nothing but the value is incremented over here, right? And then we are just moving to the finding the sum value, that is s is equals to value, whatever the value we are expecting, that value is printing at the end of the loop. If you print inside a loop, that will be printed continuously, but as we're expected output for 1, so that we have to print outside the loop here. Let me just give you one more example in the same line, then I'll just give you some time to observe this two programs. Okay, let's say I don't know whether you're following or not, but if you follow this, I'm sure you cannot find a difficulty of understanding the syntaxes in the future. That is my guarantee, right? So let's say read the input as a number, and then we have to just print the factors of the number. So what is the meaning of a factor? For example, I'm just giving you a simple test case here. Let's say input is 6. Nothing but I wanted to find the factors of 6. So what is the output we can expect for this? Is 1, 2, and 3, and 6. These are the factors of a 6. Correct? Now let's see how do we do this. Let's say I'm just reading an input over here by using this input statement. And start value is anyhow 1. I can just assign it to I. you can write any variable names. Okay, you can write any variable names as whatever you want. Let's say I, A, B, C, whatever you need. Just give a meaningful name when you're writing that variable name. Okay, now the point is how do we check whether a number is a factor of the given number or input number or not? That is what the question is. Okay, now am I correct? How do we take a certain number as, right? How do we take a certain number as something like this? Okay, so at this point, right, if number is modular division of I is equals to 0, then I can just say I to be printed, and let's say it's supposed to be this. Okay, so let me just give an input of 6. Your expected output is 1, 2, 3, and the 6. Okay, now is that clear? All right, so please look into these two programs, guys. Right. So yeah, so hope you understand this particular examples, right? Hope it is clear, right? So is there any questions to ask me on this particular examples or the entire today's session? I'll do one thing, guys. I will make a Google Drive. Okay, I will share the Google Drive link with Madhu, and he will just give you that Google Drive link to you. So what in that Google Drive link have is internally I will whatever the files I'm writing every day. Okay, these are the files I'm writing in every day, right? So these are the completed files for us. So all these files I will upload it to that folder so that you can just view that the class files in that. Okay now. So yeah, so that's it for today's session, guys, and make sure that please keep practicing, keep doing good, keep trying to make it good. So we will try to assume that the next things will be a better. Okay, and thank you so much for your attendance, and we'll see you tomorrow.